you know, everybody does it different. Everybody kind of makes what fits their farm and their practice. What has worked for us is doing a fall planting, and I personally like fall. I like to be able to get my trees in the fall and then overwinter them. So I've got the greenhouse. This is a Leland cypress, and most of these, I believe, are late and green variety, but this is a Leland cypress, which is all what I grow here. A lot of growers in the state will grow a Virginia pine. They'll grow some different, I think there were a couple that might have grown white pine, some different varieties. I just grow because I needed something that I could sort of manage on a part-time basis. One variety and one kind of set of spray schedule, fertilization, watering. So I went with Leland just because that's what I prefer. So I buy a 2-inch pot or 2-inch potted plant. It's called a liner. Bring it in the fall, and then what we do is we take our young help that we have out here on the farm, and we plant into a nursery gallon. It overwinters over the here in my greenhouse, and what I found was that I can usually put somewhere between 6 to 10 inches of growth and get more root development, which makes for a better plant to go out in the field in the spring. So I'll start the process of what they call setting the handle. And the handle in our industry is that trunk of that tree that people put in their stand, right? So you gotta have a handle to be able to cut off the ground and then leave enough clean trunk for people to get in their Christmas tree stand. So that handle at my farm is kind of a goal I said is 12 to 14 inches. Well, you can't limb up a 12-inch plant that much. So what we do is next spring we'll set the handle at about 6 to 8 inches. So I'll trim everything down here, and hopefully this plant is this tall. And then once we get a handle set, then we take it out to the field. We basically plot, we'll plant straight into the ground. I have drip irrigation, so once I go to the ground, I can immediately start watering that plant. And then we start a growing process, and then at that point, it's fertilization, monitoring your disease, your pest pressure. Staked, we'll go in with stakes because they have a fairly weak root system. Then in year 2 and 3, we actually start shaping the tree. And then we shear all of our trees twice a year. So you naturally, you want that tree to fill in to get that Christmas tree shape. And then we bring them to market starting in year 4 and mainly in year 5. So this is where we're at in our field, and we have our field set up in sections to where we basically try to plant and then we rotate. So every year we're moving into a new section, and then we start that process all over. This is a year 4 section, so most of these trees are going to be in that 4 to 5 year range. And you can see that, I'm kind of standing downhill a little bit, but you're getting into that 7-foot size tree, which is, in our market area, that's probably, that's going to be 70% of what we sell. But, we try to get that natural shape. We shear them twice a year, but then this was sheared back at this level, and you'll see the new growth, how it's come out. You want to try to trim to maintain on a Leland. They tend to what we call double leader, and they'll get multiple trunks because as a plant, it wants to bush out, and it would have multiple tree trunks if you let it. So what we actually come in and in the spring is when what we do, we call set the leader, and we're kind of choosing one over the other. And then as the tree gets older, and you can see this trunk or this handle is up to here. So what we will do is we'll try to cut that tree off as low as we can to give that customer sort of that base, a good handle. Once they get to this size, they're really at a point that we can take them to market, and we've got multiple ways for the customer to do that.